You're listening to Zero Hour, a Scarlet Rhapsody podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Zero Hour. We are covering WonderCon 2019. WonderCon took place again at the Anaheim Convention Center at the end of March, and it was quite a bit of a scorcher. It's been cold for the past couple weeks here in sunny Southern California, where the poppies are blooming. But yeah, it's been quite a warm weekend, and the majority of us at Scarlet Rhapsody decided to check out WonderCon for all 3 days. But let's see who's on our team to discuss WonderCon. We got Jared the Greek.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ramses. We got Stan.
I'm still alive somehow, but yeah. I guess.
And we have Deb.
Hey, what up?
And I'm Eri Kagami, and I am barely alive right now. But hey, we're here to talk about WonderCon.
I think we're all barely alive at this point.
We went to all 3 days, although Stan and Deb only hit Saturday and Sunday. And each day had its own little adventures. With day one, we all got our badges relatively easy.
We were invited again to do panels at WonderCon last year. Part of us were on the Disney Bounding panel. We did East and West Media Connection. And we also did History of Power Rangers. And this year, WonderCon had asked us to bring back the East and West panel and Mythology of Final Fantasy.
Which was a lot of fun to do.
And because of that, we ended up getting our badges comped, and we are professionals! Yay.
Clearly.
So let's go through this day by day. So Friday. How did we kick this one off?
Well, we got there, we got our badges relatively easily, and then I think we all kind of divided off. Well, actually, no, I sat around looking at the schedule, and you guys hit the dealer hall.
Yeah, so it's yes, dealer's hall, let's see what we got here. So I just kind of perused through, because I just kind of want to see if there's, anything, in terms of nerd fashion, because I was expecting, some vendors that are normally at WonderCon to be present. It's guess they're not here this year, but it also meant that I was meant to also kind of, just check out some other vendors, too. Damsel in this dress was also there. I did try a couple of their corsets. I was very tempted to get, a set type thing from Damsel in Distress, but didn't get a chance. But if you're looking for high-quality corsets, I highly recommend them because, oh my god, they make your back feel so much straighter. Ramses, what did you see in the dealer's hall?
A lot of toys, a lot of things I had no money for at the moment. I went to the Bluefin Tamashii Nation booth, and what I like about them is that they sell you all their toys wholesale. So, you get everything direct from the consumer at, below retail price. And recently I've been getting some money in for some things I've been doing recently, and I thought I spoiled myself, but then when I realized the more I look at the stuff, I'm I gotta choose wisely what I want to buy. So I just spent looking at toys at different places, comparing prices and stuff I've been looking at for a while. Not just SH figure-wise, but also I've been meaning to collect the mystical 112 scale, 112 collection figures. And some of them were selling, some of them at outrageous prices. I was oh my god, I wanted to buy one of them. That right there was just no, that'd be good. And then some guys were here's the new Transformers stuff from the new current generation wave at $10 off retail. And I'm are you serious? Why are you doing this to me on day one? And I had to leave because I was no, I'm gonna end up doing something stupid.
All right, Jared, where did you go?
Yeah, the three main panels I hit on Friday consisted of a panel on IP and board games, which was actually really interesting. They talked about, how they develop IP-based board games. Some things obviously you just add that flavor into it, like, say, Munchkin, versus other things that are created originally for a series, where they may have been a game that was just a generic game they created, and someone was hey, we have the license for this. Can you modify the cards? Can you modify the dice, or what have you, to make it function for, Game of Thrones, or Walking Dead, or Harry Potter, Doctor Who, whatever. And so it was really interesting hearing about that and how they created stuff and made more games, especially the smaller card games and stuff you can find at game stores, and how they just kind of throw things together. And then also the fun they had making original games and things like that. One of the guys leading the panel was the creator of Three Wishes and Battle Kittens, the Highlander game that was out there for a while.
Oh, wow.
So he's done quite a few things. It was actually really interesting to learn about that. After that, I hit the Kickstarting Your Comic panel. I suggest don't do that. And the stories go from like the, no one ever recognized my comic existing to the, hey, there's that one guy who made like $100,000. And I don't think you should use the $100,000 guy as the rule. Use the I made almost no money person as the rule. It was interesting hearing them talk about it and how they went about it, if they were a team collaborating together or if it was, a writer having to like front the money first to hire that artist so they could try to have that artwork up there to try to get the Kickstarter noticed. And if it failed, then they just were out of pocket for that money and have their own personal comic book they could just keep on the table that no one wanted. Interesting kind of hearing about that. And the last major panel I went to today was Writing in the 21st Century, which was just kind of about, self-publishing and the pros and cons and how the changing ways that people are receiving their, media, especially books and things like that. Which was an interesting panel. It was very much hey, everyone just self-publish now and traditional publishing is dead. Just funny, because on Sunday I go to a panel that can tell me the exact opposite. Because no one in the writing industry, novel industry, can agree on anything. They all just contradict each other all the time. And I throw my hands in the air and say, I'm just going to do what everyone seems like the safest route to me.
I actually did hit up one panel on Friday, and that was the Back to the Future Part 2 anniversary panel. And they had people who worked on the special effects, just kind of in a roundtable Q&A, just talking about behind-the-scenes stories, like how they were trying to schedule in Michael J. Fox to work his schedule with Family Ties and being on set for Back to the Future. And they were also talking about the challenges of filming that dinner scene where Michael J. Fox plays all these different characters of his future family and his future self.
And even making the pizza, and how many pizzas they had to throw away until they got just the right-looking pizza. And also the smoke they used in the microwave was poisonous, so they couldn't eat the pizza that was put on the table.
So that's just some very interesting behind-the-scenes stories that you can't get from a book or even on the DVD or Blu-ray commentaries. And just hearing these guys just talk about their fond memories and just memories of also working with Michael J. Fox. He's the kindest guy in the industry, and what you see is what you get anytime he's at an interview. And I've always had a crush on Michael J. Fox since I've seen Back to the Future. It's oh, yeah, I have good taste. And also, they were talking about having another Back to the Future fan event this year. So I'm oh, yes, do tell, because we're quite curious, because Jared has his George McFly, I have my Lorraine McFly, and Deb has her Marty McFly. So, Ramses, did you hit up any panels on Friday?
Yeah, I did one. I attended the Jack Pacific panel for their new toys. They started off talking about some costume stuff that they recently acquired, a really big costume company. And one of the big things they showed off was for the very first time they actually are going to start making actual transforming costumes for Transformers. And they showed us some top secret videos of it. And it looks impressive. It looks really impressive. For the quality and stuff like that, it's yeah, this is good. This is gonna make some little kid gush with glee. So it's really cool. And then after that, they talked about, since they now have the rights to do Mega Man toys, they went through all the gamut of Mega Man toys between the 8-bit the 8-bit looking guys to this really cool really tall Mega Man that they have. So I think it's 12 inches. And it has different sounds from the games and stuff like that. And then it went after that to talk about Mega Man, the current cartoon on Cartoon Network, and the toys that they have. And then soon after that, they talked about Harry Potter, and they talked about these toys, these wizard toys that they make. And what was interesting about the wizard toys is that they're wands, and they basically you learn all the spells with the wands. And they have I think at the moment they have Hermione, Harry Potter, what's his face, Dumbledore, and Voldemort. And they took a poll as which ones they want to see next. And I think what they said was they want to do new standard from the current series of Fantastic Beasts. Professor McGonagall and Ron Weasley was also on that list as well.
Yeah, you may as well have the main trio.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you just skipped in the first wave, and I'm yeah, serves you right.
After that, they talked about the World of Nintendo stuff, and the World of Nintendo stuff looks really cool. They're doubling that. Apparently, what they're gonna do is that their main retail stuff is now gonna be doubling down on Super Mario. So pretty much like everything going forward is going to be Super Mario toys going forward. And what I like is that one of the new future ways that we haven't seen yet. It's going to have a classic Super Mario 3 with the raccoon suit, and it looks like I want that suit so bad. It looks so cute. And then they talked about Sonic. They couldn't really talk much about Sonic because they're planning on doing Sonic for the fall for the new movie. And then after that, they went back to talk about Nintendo, and they said that especially retailers are gonna start doing especially they're gonna go back to the old Nintendo stuff. And one of the first things they showed was this really awesome looking Metroid. It's a re-release of one of the ones they did like way back, like a couple of years earlier. But what I liked about it is like they added fluorescent lights to it, and it looks incredible. It looks like you're looking through the Metroid through like through like one of the filters of your scanner. It looks incredible. So at the panel, I was able to ask about Fire Emblem, and they gave me they're like, you know what? That is a franchise we've been needing for a while. You know what? So we'll see what happens from there. If you see Fire Emblem toys at your local Target or Walmart or at Walgreens, think of Ramses.
That's assuming it actually gets there, but we'll see.
I hope so, because I want Chrome. That's about it. Like it was a pretty decent panel. Like the panels were really cool. It's like not only were like the people, not only was it PR people, but it was also like in like actual like designers and stuff like that. So they got to go a little bit more in depth about some of the design and some of the stuff that they were doing. So overall, I had a lot of fun, especially like seeing all the new stuff and then talking to the guys who are just as enthusiastic about the properties as I am as well. So.
Jared and I also cosplayed on Friday. We were cosplaying from Azure Lane, the mobile-based video game. And it's basically World War II warships if you're anthropomorphized as kawaii anime girls. And I was cosplaying as Enterprise, aka CV6. And Jared was also my commander in a naval American uniform.
Yep.
And that was fun, just running around as Enterprise at the con. No one really knew what I was, but I think there was one person who kind of figured out what I was from, because he said, like, yeah, in a convention like this huge, like, apparently, like, there's gonna be one that recognizes you. I got 2 photo shoots done, one by Snappy Luna, and my other buddy, Jay Collins, who I've known for ages. So looking forward to seeing how those photos turn out. All right, let's move on to Saturday, shall we?
Yeah, Saturday was the day that almost killed me. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think we all just got up 9 a.m. Just got there 9:35. I think
Yeah, just to beat the bum rush for parking, because with WonderCon, even though we're local, it's a wise idea to just get there to just get early parking, because if it's after a certain time, you're probably gonna have to take the shuttle from the Honda Center, and there's always a huge line to get out of the convention center and to the Honda Center.
We still had time, so me and Deb, since this is our day one more or less, so we just got into the dealers all immediately. I think we got to the dealers immediately, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's freaking huge.
Almost 3 major exhibitor halls.
Yeah, just took them all in. As always, the Artist Alley far left side, and the major ones in the middle, and they actually took some of the what used to be the old Artist Alley people to what's called a small press.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, because you can see all the comic book creators just trying to push their comic books, like Boston Metaphysical Society. They had their own booth there. It's like, oh hey, check this out.
Yeah, it was a little thrown off at first, but you get used to it. Once you realize, oh, okay, so that's a publisher, and everyone else is Artist Alley. So it makes sense.
Kind of like a sandwich.
Yeah, in a way. So Bluefin, like Ram mentioned, they had a bunch of figures, and the booth itself was really small. A little misleading, because it was listed like a Bluefin Bandai Namco. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wait, Bandai Namco's here? And I was almost dead expecting some video game booths or something. And imagine
There's some Soul Caliburs.
Soul Calibur 6, right? With Amy, imagine my disappointment. And booth is smaller, obviously. When you go to like an anime expo, like Bluefin booth is bigger than this, like hell, like twice bigger.
Yep.
And I can sort of understand why, because they just brought in like just definitely like Marvel, like Gundam related stuff only. Everything else because they want to save everything else for anime expo.
Yeah.
You might be able to find one or two things if you're lucky, but
but
like for the most part, yeah, you're right. It was mostly like Marvel stuff or the Gundam stuff or stuff based on like American properties.
You're not gonna see Kamen Rider in this place.
No, I saw none.
Exactly, that's why.
There was that one cosplayer that bypassed us on Sunday.
Right, Kamen Rider black costume. Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, it was huge. I think it's almost the same as last year, right? The size and layer and all that. So
I'll say the size too.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So
difference in vendors but nice to see some new faces in a dealer's hall.
Mm-hmm. So you want to add on to that?
Any favorites, Deb, from the dealer's hall?
I've just been more likely catching up with a couple of artists I haven't seen in a while. So I mean, it's good seeing them, honestly.
Yeah. A couple of the people that I know didn't make it to the WonderCon artists, but there's always next time, I guess.
And they have a quality artist, Sally. Go on, Ramses.
I was gonna say I did meet one artist. He currently works on Mad Magazines. He was with McCarthy, and his Instagram is incredibly hilarious. Because for a guy who works on Mad, you kind of have to have a lot of sense of humor and stuff like that. So I picked up a pin from him because I always liked his work and I wanted to pick up something. Most of the stuff was like, and I saw this pin. I was like, this speaks to me. This pin speaks to me, and I'll post the pictures later on social medias.
It was pretty nice pin, not gonna lie. For what it's worth.
All right.
Yeah, it's quite a work, like trying to traverse through the traffic. Like there's really no like actual direction. Like how this con goes, right? There's really no direction of where to go. So you just kind of sometimes the up and down stories just blend in, and it's an upstream sometimes. Mm-hmm.
It was really fun on Friday, the day before, when there was hardly anyone in the dealer's hall. But by the time it got to Saturday, Sunday,
yes,
it can like bottleneck really bad.
Oh yeah, it did. Especially Artist Alley, because think about it like that narrow gap,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And that's when you start. That's when you start to feel the frustration of being in such a small thin booth.
Right.
Yeah. It felt like that, honestly.
I'm trying to pick up this
Yeah, Bluefin just suddenly turns into a sardine can, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So that's the first thing we did, and I didn't really get to an actual panel until, I want to say, 1:30, which is Kotobukiya Spring Update 2019. See, Dev's laughing because, man, this was the most atrocious toy panel I've ever gone to in my life. Like, I mean with a capital A, atrocious.
Yikes.
Like, put it this way, okay? On the table, there's nothing. There's nothing on the table. Just this two people from Kotobukiya just talking about what they have, what's coming up, and it's all based on like audience Q&A. Like they're not just ignite. They're not starting the engine by themselves. They're letting the other people start it, and they just go with the flow of that. And the worst of all, there's no display whatsoever, okay? No projection, no...
What?
Yeah, no projection to show the, upcoming plans, and no, not even a drawing on a paper. They didn't even have that! And it was just pretty bad. And the worst part, like, the little, like, nail in the coffin for me for this this panel, was that I went up and asked, like, okay, in terms of licensing, do you still have Bandai Namco? And they said initially, unfortunately, no. And they asked me, hey, what kind of like thing from Bandai Namco you're asking about? You're specifically thinking about? And I said, just blur out Tekken, And then I kid you not, these two just like behind the mic just converse like, oh, do we still have that? And it's just like I can only hear them. I'm literally there, distance wise. I can hear them. Just gonna, we still have it, And the other guy was just like, I think it might be just Tokyo department. They might be the one that's dealing with it. And then it's just like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, they just said, like, yes, we have them. The fact that they had to converse about what they have, what they don't.
What is there, like, Vogons? What the heck?
Right? And, I mean, the general idea I get is that they have it, but only on the Japanese side, US side, they might be either blindsided or they don't know or they just don't care. If you're really from the Koto, shouldn't you know that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they talk about the other stuff, like, Harry Potter and what have you, but really, like...
I'm pretty sure what they were doing is they were reading what they were instructed to read on paper.
Yeah.
And they're like...
On the note or something.
And they're like, oh, we're not expecting that.
Oh, you should have expected that, okay?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's which is weird because, like, this is a complete opposite of the panel I went to.
Right.
On the flip side, like, they showed us stuff they showed us top secret stuff. They showed us images of everything. They showed us stuff that, like, was upcoming and stuff like that. And they gave away toys and everything like that. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's night and day here. It's kind of sad that you should have went up with me in that last panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Go.
The thing is, even without the expectations of stuff, they should at least be generally aware of what products they do or do not have access to. I didn't go to any panel like that. There was marketing products. But if I did, I would hope that they would know what products they're marketing. Not just like, we got this scrap of paper here, 5 different characters that we're going to tell you about. Sure, fine, have your scrap of paper, but then in your brain you should probably know what franchises your company sells.
Yeah. I know, right? Right. So it's like, that panel was garbage. So
that's sad.
Garble.
Yeah, garble. Thank you. I use that term for the entire... Dude, when we talk about the panel, I use that term consistently. Garble. Thank you for reminding me.
I always say garble.
Yeah, garble. Mm-hmm. Sure, garble. So after that, I don't think I went to any other panel except ours, But we're probably gonna get to that.
We'll get to them.
Yeah. Anything else?
Here, let's talk about some blood.
So I have a whole list of panels I was planning on going to, and I went to not a single one of the panels on my phone, not a single one of them, because one of the things I've wanted to do at cons for a while, especially cons that have blood drives, is I used to donate blood, and so I was like, I haven't done that in forever. I want to do that, so I did it. I had to get my information reset because I haven't donated in 6 years. Sorry, so a lot of people who needed blood and did not get it, but. Did that. They had a new specialty machine that essentially will take 2 units out of me, but replace my fluids and stuff. And I was like, sure, I'll try a new machine. That doesn't seem like there could be negative consequences to that. Now, I'm going to bring up 2 key points here. One, this machine does do a lot of good stuff. It basically pulls out a unit of your blood, it takes the red blood cells, separates it from the plasma and the platelets, returns your plasma and platelets with a little extra saline solution so you don't, pass out from when they take the second unit out of you. And that's good, because then it can get to hospitals sooner, it can help people sooner. It is all good. It trained me like I had no idea. Like, I've had some rough post getting my blood taken moments, but this one, like, I was out for most of the day, and I still felt kind of out of it today. At a con is not the time to use that machine. Use that machine if you're just driving over, if someone else drive you over, use the machine, help out as many people as possible that way, and then drive home and just watch TV and drink, like, Gatorade for the rest of the day, and you'll probably be fine. Running around a con, carrying your laptop bag, going to panels, and running 2 panels of your own, and staying up till about midnight, that is a bad idea. Do not do that. Do not do what I did.
Holy crap, you're telling me about that machine now?
It's an awesome machine.
I can tell, but wow.
And I was with you the whole time, just kind of see how they were doing it. And while you were just kind of like just laying on the bed, we were talking about the anime stills at work and just kind of like just joking around how your platelets went on a field trip.
Yeah. Lots of stills at work jokes. And it's like, we need a cosplay for that. We were all talking about doing that at one point. And just never get around to it.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see what kind of blood draining machine they come up with for the next WonderCon.
Well, it's...
More business. There's more business
using it at all events, but they're like, yeah, we brought it this time. You want to try the new machine? Sure.
And the newest machine is just Morbius just standing there.
It's just Dracula going like, we just cut out the middleman. It's just me, Dracula.
Or to promote FX's
What we do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows, like the 4 dudes are there.
Yeah.
Now,
we're going to take your blood. We're going to save it. You're not going to eat it all in one sitting. That would be really rude of us. So we're going to do that. It's be great.
And rest assured, we are totally not suspicious.
They were actually talking about ways of trying to get better promotions out there, because they were giving away like shirts and comics and stuff, and that was nice. But I was telling them about other events that have had authors or just plenty of people, comic artists and stuff. You get your blood drained and get an autograph from whoever's currently writing.
Ooh, how about this? Next year,
Vampirella.
Oh well, I was thinking
super down for that.
I was thinking like a cast of What We Do in the Shadows, the autograph.
Yes, I'd be down with that.
I would actually put a nail in my arm just to get stupid sexy Takio with TD's autograph.
Or if he has nothing else to do right now, Wesley Snipes signs copies of Blade.
Hell yeah, I know that.
And you line out the door.
Anyways.
So that kind of threw off my entire schedule of what I planned to do, but because of that, I got to see the awesomeness that is the Man from Atlantis panel with Ramsey.
Oh, yeah!
And this was, I went and go, like, they're doing a panel? I guess it must be some sort of anniversary or something. Okay, cool, whatever. That TV show is cheesy. Like, we can go check this out. So I was expecting guys sitting there, like, playing dumb clips from the show. The show is very cheese. And instead, it's Patrick Duffy with the people who remastered the TV movies, which are actually serious, and the TV series, which is ridiculous. And they're talking about the remastering process, they're talking about stuff from behind the scenes, and it's Patrick freaking Duffy, and his Patrick Duffiness.
And one of the things that we both noticed, like, the man can tell stories.
He is so sharp, like, with jokes and stuff, too, as they say something, and he immediately comes up with, like, a smart-ass quip right in there, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, but the best part is, he would tell us, like, behind-the-scenes stuff about, like, oh, when they did this, and when we did that stuff, like, he would play a clip, and it's like, we filmed this in on these days, and then like
1 a.m. and it was freezing cold.
It was freezing cold, but they had to keep me freezing cold. Everybody else was perfectly fine because I had to be when I was wet all this time, this and that. Blah blah. The man knew what was like. The man has a photographic memory of like what was going on, and it's incredibly hear stories from Patrick Duffy himself about like the stuff that was going on around the series when he was working, the camaraderie he's made around the time with all his coworkers. And it was a really good panel. I thought at first it was going to be one of those Robert Altman kind of panels where there was just going to be like a round table about it. Mm-hmm. But I didn't expect it to be Patrick Duffy was there, and then like a couple of the guys who are working on the actual remastering would be there. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where hearing the stories of him doing the stunts initially. And it's all stories that sound like you should be dead like 10 times over. For example, there's a scene where he's out swimming a dolphin, and so he's on this little sled thing that drags him through this pool super fast. And they're like, just let go of it before it hits the wall, otherwise you'll hit the wall too. And it's just like, you do realize like how absurdly dangerous that is. Like, had you not let go at the right time, you were just faced into a concrete wall. Some things like that going on, to a point that he had started becoming friends with some of the stuntmen, and they're like, dude, we could have done that for you. And he's like, really? Because this was like his first project, so he had no idea he could just call the stuntman to do the things for him. And he's like, yeah, every time you do one of the stunts, you're taking a job away from one of my crew members. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And so everything, even if it was a really easy stunt, like, oh, we need you to like roll down this hill. And he's like, oh, Steve, roll down the hill for me. Because then he was giving the stunt guys more work by doing things that he could do. And that just shows how much of like a nice guy he is. Yeah. The fact that like as soon as he realizes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, sure, roll down the hill, go for it. And so they would do a lot more stuff for him because he just wanted them to get extra work.
Oh man, you weren't kidding when you said Patrick freaking Duffy and freaking being the middle name.
Yeah, the guy is incredible. And like I said, like all this, like I said, like I love hearing all those stories. It was an incredible panel. If there was one thing I came out of WonderCon really liked was that I got to attend that panel. I got to hear a lot of those type of things, and that's those kinds of panels I love being part of.
And it's one of those ones where like I never knew about the TV movies, and I didn't know they were all serious and actually dramatic. Yeah. I know the TV series where he's like fighting a stupid sea monster, and it's make the joke. Every episode had to have some sort of excuse to have water there for him to do something. So it's one of those like, oh no, terrorists have kidnapped hostages at Niagara Falls. it's always something like that. It's just ridiculous.
Or like the bad guy's like, look over there. The bad guys have already fled over the freeway. But look over there. There's a river.
I can swim up the river and cut them off. It's always something dumb like that.
You would never do this in the heart of the LA, you know? There's a highway. Oh, the bad guys are running away from highway, and we have shot this ravine.
It doesn't take place in LA, though.
I think it's supposed to be like in Maine.
Oh, yeah, Maine? Okay, I believe it. If it's Maine, I believe it.
But yeah, there's always some sort of excuse for there's a river, or the bad guys are situated on a Carnival cruise. Send in the man from Atlantis. It was always something like that. And the other one was like a drama, and it was like, a lost submarine or something like that. And he has to go find them before the sailors die. And it's like, whoa, that's significantly more dark than your normal plot lines that are ridiculous reasons for you to have to fight some sort of bad guy near water.
Yeah. So
that was a great panel, and way better than I had any expectation. I was like, this will be a couple laughs, and we'll just kill an hour. And that was, there were laughs, but it wasn't like how I expected it. I expected this to be a Mystery Science Theater of the dumbest parts of the show, and instead it was.
I was more expecting a roundtable discussion about it, but we were both blindsided, and we got probably one of the best panels we've been to. And our biggest fear was that it was going to end up being either discussion of a new reboot or a new TV series. Because I was like, don't do that. Don't, no, that does not work. 70s? Fine. But what was great... 2000s, do not do that. But instead, what they did show us was they showed us a beautiful remaster of what they're doing right now. I kind of want to get those. Yeah, one of these, the Warner Archive, and it's because it was partnered up with another panel that came before it, where they're talking about the stuff how they've been working on Marvel Archive. You don't know what Warner Archive is. Warner Archive is that basically what they do is that they especially make DVDs of stuff that otherwise would not be able to get in, you cannot get it at stores. You can buy directly from them. One of the biggest examples being for Stan, if you want to go get the Challenge of the GoBots, there you go. Oh. You can buy them directly from Warner Archive, especially made DVD, remastered and everything. Really awesome GoBots characters like Leader 1, Leader 1,
Psykill, there we go. Yeah.
Or my other personal favorite is they actually have Pirates of the Dark Water there.
Oh man! Oh, wow. Okay, I do kind of want that.
Question. Is Patrick Duffy gonna double with Psykill?
I hope so. I wanted to.
As part of this Warner Archives project, I have actually decided to add my voice to every single cartoon, even if the character wasn't originally in it. This is Pirates of Dark Water. It's like, what do you think? And just cuts to Patrick Duffy just standing there. I think it's a good idea, Prince. Let's go take him down.
Anyways,
it's not even animated in. It's just him in front of a green screen, but it's still the animation background behind him.
Here's my credit card.
The next panel I ended up hitting was the Rob Liefeld panel, where he is promoting his newest series, Major X. Now, Major X is tied in with the X-Men franchise. It was one of his ideas he had before he left Marvel to help found Image. And the whole big marketing campaign is, who is Major X? And he's from another dimension where the mutants have paradise, so I'm assuming he's probably a well-known character who's just in an alternate version of him. And the new comic will be out probably before this podcast, because I think it comes out this Wednesday, and this might not be up until Friday or Saturday. So it's already out, so you already know the answer.
Yeah.
So this is from the past. We don't know yet. Don't spoil it for us. Don't go back in time and tell me. Rob Liefeld is Deadpool.
Yeah.
He's probably in desperate need of Ritalin. And he was just constantly, he would answer a question, and halfway through answering the question would get distracted by something. And I was one of those distractions. I was dressed like Ignis from Final Fantasy 15. And he's in the middle of answering a question, and he just goes like, hold on, I need to give this guy a comic because he has an awesome wig. And he just runs back, he grabs a comic, comes up to me, I think it was Spider-Man versus Deadpool or something. Took it all, look at the cover again. I think it's Spider-Man versus Deadpool. And he hands it to me, he's like, that is a wig, right? I'm like, it's a wig. He's like, here you go. And I'm like, thanks. It's like, okay, so the question was about my time at Image, right? Okay, so what went on was...
Hearing that made me realize, no wonder you've been late with all your work.
Yes, it explains that. He was late to the panel, in fact. He was very, very on brand. He got distracted in the middle of questions, took selfies of Deadpool cosplayers. He told a story about being on set for Deadpool 2. And I'm like, man, you need to start... Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 should have had him as a cameo, but like a fourth wall breaking cameo where he's like drawing a picture of Deadpool, and Deadpool just comes up to him and goes like, are you drawing me? Yeah, it's for a comic book. Do I get any money on that? Nope. What? And then pulls out his gun and just starts shooting him around the field while he runs away. I think it would just be a funny little, like, it's such a Deadpool cameo to do something like that. But
okay, so when you describe all of that, I'm just like, wow, I missed the hell out. Okay,
it was a funny panel.
Yeah, okay. So tell you what. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, so whenever he does a promotion again, Lieutenant X, I guess. You know,
whatever his next one is. Yeah. General X.
General X. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I want
this. It's totally not Cable.
Totally not Cable. Yeah,
that should just be the title.
Totally not Cable.
It's just Cable. It's like a map. It's like a question mark where his face is.
No. It's a Cable with a Groucho Marx on your glasses.
His mustache.
Yo, we are going, and I want all of this recorded on video.
And we're
he would love that too.
Yeah.
We're sending to Rob. We're sending to Rob.
Yeah.
Much love.
He made a little trailer for Major X where he's like was basically posted, and then Marvel called him and was like, "Did you just post artwork that hasn't been announced or released for Major X?" And he's like, only on my Twitter. Do you know how many millions of thousands of people see Twitter? I can take it down." He's like, "So I almost got fired from Marvel again." And I'm like, it seems because it's one of those things where you think after all these years, like in working in comics, you would call a Marvel person and go, "Okay, look, I made this little trailer. It has a little bit of music in the background. It's just showing all the various characters I've drawn over the years, and some promotion for Major X. Is that cool? Do you guys need to see it first?" Instead, he just posted it. Marvel Legal was like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Dude, he's like a strung-up rascal kid from like every sitcom.
Yeah. So,
anyways,
it was a very fun panel. He's a very fun guy, and you say what you want about his artwork. He does love. You can tell he has a huge amount of enthusiasm for comics in general. You can tell that he probably hasn't aged since 12. I mean, he's aged like physically, but like mentally, he's about 12, 13 years old. And very, very high percent. All things like a 12-year-old thing are awesome. It's like guns, knives, yeah, explosions. It's like
no spine too.
Well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what it is. And it's really hilarious because he literally says, he's like, some people ask me, like, where did I get the idea for Deadpool? And I'm like, well, I just wrote him the way people describe me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, basically. I don't know how much, he made the joke that he had 10 lines of coke before going to the panel. Which I think would have made his head explode, actually, had he actually done that.
I believe it also.
But I'm like, I don't know why. I have this image of him in his booth. Like, I gotta do a panel, so excuse me. He just starts cracking open like 10 Red Bulls and just starts chugging one after the other.
Okay, so this is
Alright, Red, let's go to the panel. Woo!
Okay, so since this is Rob Liefeld we're talking about, I mean, if his Coke story is correct, the fifth line would suddenly combust into fire. Yeah. And he wouldn't even get to it.
So he's an awesome guy and a funny guy, and I would like to see another panel like this. Maybe when if Major X does become a hit and he starts doing more Major X panels at cons, just to have him talk about how, because he pitching this idea back in the 90s and then pitching it again in the 2010s and the differences in there and what story differences he came up with now that he's 30 years older. Yeah, I mean, that was fun. And then the last panel I went to for the day was on trading cards. Those like ones they do nowadays where like a lot of it is original artwork. Mm-hmm. It was really interesting. I lost stuff I didn't know about because I don't really collect any of these kind of cards. But they were talking about stuff from like the Game of Thrones set, the various Walking Dead sets, some Marvel sets, and they were. Look at some of the artwork; it's really cool.
So this was I was there actually.
It was a pretty awesome panel.
It was kind of came in, and this was more artist panel.
It totally was. Yeah. I thought it was going to be about the marketing or how they do the IP stuff. It was just the artists. Sometimes talking about their technique. One guy uses watercolors and how he has to do it in a certain way, where he has to just scrap it and start from scratch.
And there was a lady named Ashley who was the predominantly painter, so transitioning painting into the training part of the process of it, that's another interesting thing,
They also talk about artist proofs, which I've heard of, but I didn't actually know exactly what they were. But essentially, it's blank cards for them to create for fans and to sell at cons and stuff like that, or give away. And I'm like, that is pretty awesome that they have that available. So if you have the money and you have an artist you like the most, and you're like, hey, I noticed in this set you didn't draw Superman. Can you draw Superman for me? Looking cool? And they'll do it for you for probably a couple $100. But, then you'd be the only person that has the Superman card for that set. It's an artist proof, and no one else will ever have that, which is pretty cool for collectors. Actually, if I had remained a card collector, I would probably have splurged on those a couple of times, dependent on the set. But the quality of the artwork was really good. Because like I said, I'm just super into it. This was it was the panel before my Final Fantasy panel. I was like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm tired. Whatever it is. It's like, it's cards. Okay, cool. Let's learn about Yu-Gi-Oh! This will be fun. Nope. Just learn about some really cool stuff.
Yeah, even the one of the artists, I think Craig King, I think he was Mr. King. Okay, let's call him Mr. King.
Mr. King works fine.
Yeah, Mr. King even showed some of his sketches. Like one on the top left corner was like Chewbacca, almost like a sad Chewbacca, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then right below it is this angry Wampa.
Yeah.
He was just joking about how that's what he would imagine if Chewbacca was mad or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was.
I like that artwork he had of the Emperor, actually.
Oh yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind to have that as a poster.
I think he had to redo that, huh?
Mm-hmm, because the Emperor has a little clasp on his cloak, and he's like, I could not find a single reference for it that made it what I could do with it, so I had to try to digitally do it as best I could, because there was no way to do it by hand, because there was no reference. And
I'm
like, I don't know, I bet the 501st may have had a reference for that, because 501st gets really anal like that. But that being said, I actually would like to have that as a poster. If he had a booth and he had a poster of that version of the Emperor, I actually wouldn't mind to have that in the door to my office. So you just see the Emperor there, and you'd have already an idea of who you're facing when you enter my office. And my ultimate power! Stop, lightning out of my fingers. Stop.
And we all look at you like, bro, what the hell are you doing?
It's just like, where's Jared's office? Oh, you just picture of the Emperor. I'm like, oh.
So, sure. That's his office.
The ultimate power.
Yeah.
Then I want the Emperor's chair from the Death Star as my chair in front of my desk, so I can just press the button and rotate it, and you're like, you've come here, young Skywalker.
Yeah,
Deb.
I brought your food.
Thanks. Oh man, Chick-fil-A.
I knew the Emperor wasn't a Jesus food.
I don't know what the silliest food the Emperor would order. And Chick-fil-A just first thing came to mind, what's the silliest thing he'd order?
McNuggets.
McNuggets, that's true. I should have got
McNuggets.
Chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders.
Too classy, man.
It's like the stereotypical chicken tender.
The Girls Junior Chicken Stars. Time for me talking the Chicken Star Wars.
Anyway,
I'm so evil.
You just throw it in Wendy's Frosty.
I'm done.
Straight from Hoff's onesies. Frosty.
I'm sorry. We're talking about the Empire. I want to talk about the Emperor played by Rob Liefeld. Anyway, yeah.
Oh no.
A very different movie.
Yeah, but
I'm going to teach you the ways of the dark side, young scout. Oh, is that a squirrel?
Okay,
dude,
but
have you seen these little lights over here? I
yeah.
was home for 5 minutes. I just want to check out these lights.
But not for real. That panel was great.
Yeah, it really was. It's a surprise. Surprise that we done today.
Mm-hmm.
What about the two of you?
I went to the Star Wars cosplay meetup in the middle of the day. There's a lot of Star Wars presence at this convention. The 501st Mandalorian Mercs and the Rebel Legion, they all have booths at this event. I was cosplaying today as my mashup of Princess Leia and a Sailor Senshi. So I was Sailor Princess Leia, and it's just pretty much like my interpretation if Leia was a Sailor Senshi, and I also had a blaster in hand. I actually did take a photo right by the Endor Moon bunker, which they had in the dealer's hall. But the main
that's what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the bunker from the end of Return of the Jedi, where Leia says my favorite line to Han. When Han's like, I love you, and Leia's like, I know.
Yeah, to call back to Empire Strikes Back.
That's always been my favorite version of that line,
Yeah.
so... Because it reminds me of someone I know. And then the main Star Wars cosplay meetup occurred in the fountains, like right as you enter in. And there's a ton of Star Wars cosplay presence, whether it's 501st, Rebel Legion, Mandalorian Mercs, or people just doing their own thing, like myself. There's like this huge takeover to Fountains, and Brandon, Chief Geek Photography, he was trying to like make everything look balanced and like have like all the this if you're a part of this faction, go here. If you're like one of the rebels from the Endor Moon, go here. If you're from this or that, go here. And then because mine was a mashup and all the layers are like kind of scattered all over the place, I was just kind of like just chilling with Jyn Ersos and like, hey, yeah, no one remembers us. Like, come on, you guys. Jyn Erso had an awesome book called Rebel Rising, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It's my favorite of the new Star Wars Cosmic Era books by Disney. And I was also standing by Cora, and we were just kind of like just just cracking jokes once the Star Speeder 3000 from Star Tours came in. And as people were just clicking off the cameras, we were just shooting off quotes from the original Star Tours. Right, like, yeah, it's my first time, and I'm still getting used to my programming. Comets, we passed the Endor Moon. I've always wanted to do this. So, like, we were just cracking quotes there and just kind of, like, just laughing our butts off. It was like, yay, Star Speeder 3000, that just brings up a lot of happy memories. And then by the time, like, we were done with the huge group shoot, Brand's like, okay, if you're not part of these cosplay factions, get out! And out we did go. But I was also hanging out with some of the people who did, like, mashup versions of Star Wars characters with other fandoms. I ran into a Belle and the Beast who were, like, X-Wing pilot versions of Belle and the Beast. I'm like, hey, that's pretty clever. And there was a Rapunzel and Flynn that did Jedi renditions of the characters. I'm like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. I'm like, hey, I'm Sailor Princess Leia. And you were making a joke earlier, Jared, like, yeah, I wonder if there should be a tuxedo Han Solo. I'm like, yeah, dream on. I kind of want to get an Ewok mask and put a crescent moon on it. Just because. Oh, Lothcats. Put like a crescent moon on a Lothcat. Yeah.
Perfect.
I love Lothcats. They're my favorite Star Wars creature that I would keep as a pet.
At the beginning of the day, I went to check out the pen for She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. It's just Princesses. I can't say it. Yeah, thank you. And they show us a lot of stuff for season 2, and it looks pretty good. There's a lot of cool things. You know, they continue on the storyline in the current season. I'm fine. I saw the first season. I'm like, this is alright. And, you know, so it's like, you know, they're continuing to, you know, just, you know, like, as a long-time fan, this is not for me, but you know what? I stepped back and this is all you guys. I'm gonna cheer you guys on for it. If you guys like it, I'm gonna keep on cheering you guys on for it. And one of the things I like is that in one of the episodes we're gonna get in this new season is they're gonna do a little bit of a throwback to the original She-Ra, the one that we remember. And they do it in such a way where it's like it's not really them taking the piss out of it, but more like they're paying homage in a really, really good way. I really appreciate like what the clip they show us with the original stuff, and that made me really, really happy, and my heart grew like a little bit bigger than it already is. So yeah.
And while I do feel tepid about the new She-Ra, I'm actually kind of curious to check out the episode you were describing to me, because I'm like, hey, this actually sounds like it's kind of fun, because I keep hearing like just all this back and forth that there's like a lot of spite to original She-Ra, but like, hey, this kind of affirms that like, okay, there's going to be some love put into this. So yeah. I actually do want to see the season 2 premiere. I think my sheer morbid curiosity.
Yeah, and basically the episode is just like it's a thinly veiled D&D episode, but basically they're saying, okay, we all need to make a plan to take over this horde base. And each of the princesses and Bo come up with like different plans, and guess what? Bo's the one that brings up the 80s one. Everyone else just brings up different ideas, like, oh yeah, everyone's like, I'm better than everyone. And it's like, okay, but like the one that Bo brings up is like, yeah, it's totally the original She-Ra. Like everyone's wearing the original outfits. Bo's wearing his original outfit with his little mustache. Katro comes out, but it's like Katro from the original TV show. She talks like, oh, She-Ra. Welcome to my evil ranger.
I'm sorry, I can't. But
It's very grating to watch her, to hear her sometimes in the original series. Anyways, that's the only panel I did Saturday in our panels.
Alright, so we can get into our panels. First panel we did was the Pop Culture Exchange on the Pacific Rim, aka East-West Connection, aka whatever we call it next time. It is an interesting little panel we've done a couple times at this con already. Added some new stuff in there. Took a few minor things out to try to make, for expediency's sake. I think it went smoother than last year when my laptop decided to poop on us. That was not fun. But it had a few little hiccups here and there, and when you adjust a panel, sometimes that happens, but the audience seemed to like it. The staff really liked it. They actually complimented us on the way out. And overall, it'll get adjusted. It'll be better next year. Probably a few different references added in. I think we can see what happens when we get to that point.
I also kind of feel like because we have so much content, you can do a two-parter panel. The first part is being the East to West connection, and the second panel is a West to East connection.
But that'd require a con giving us the 2 hours for that, which would be pretty cool, but I think there's only certain cons that would do that, and WonderCon's not one of them. We could probably have done that at Pacific Media Expo or something like that, because we knew the staff well enough that they probably would have allowed that. That should be kind of cool. But that's thoughts for a later time. The other panel we did, of course, was my mythology of Final Fantasy, which has new stuff. I took a few of the weapons out because people said they were boring, and then to be told after the panel, I wanted more weapons. I'm like, of course you want. Cannot get the right balance on this. But added more monsters, got to tell people the depressing story of Medusa, which I've been wanting to do for a while now. And of course, I love always telling the depressing story of Brunhilde, because every mythology... Do not be a woman. If you're living in the mythological world, I highly recommend not being female. Just don't do it. Because it does not end well for you if you're in mythology. Very few ladies of mythology get something good at the end of their lives, like Lydia, who has to go through so much garbage in order to get to that, becoming a witch queen. But for the most part, the panel went really well. Everyone really, I think the Chocobo reveal probably went off really well. I think a lot of people were really curious about that one. We really did want to have the candies that Chocobos are based off of, but alas, we did not. But one of these days we will. It will happen. We'll get Chocoball candies when we have a chance one of these days. We'll give them away to the audience who want delicious chocolatey goodness based on birds. Yeah, I really liked that panel. I'm not sure what I will change next time I do it, because this is a new version anyway, so if you have not seen this version of the panel yet this year, if we run it at a convention, you will be pleasantly surprised by new stuff and new surprises, new monsters. And maybe I will throw in another weapon. I've been actually wanting to use the Excalibur for a while, so maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
Well, and then there's that information that we suddenly figured out.
Which ruins those jokes, but now it's it really ruins one of the jokes. But it's going to be fun to actually then reveal to people what the creature is actually based off of in real life.
Yes,
that's kind of all fun. Yeah,
that was an interesting conversation we had this morning. Anyways,
shall we move on to Sunday?
Yeah, I think we can.
Stand up.
So, once again, we got there early as balls.
We had to in order to get parking. That's the thing, with this con specifically, there's certain other cons that fall in this category. If you don't get there early for parking, you're just going to be wandering the city.
Well, this time it actually made sense, because, my God, we had more people coming in.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It's Sunday. We'll easily find a place. We'll park right by the entrance, or right by the elevator. Nope. Nope.
And I think it's because, people. I think people figured out there's still tickets for Sunday. I think that's there's this huge influx of people trying to get in last minute.
Probably that makes sense. That would make sense. Especially at the door kind of deal.
Yeah.
And also you get to shop. All you need is a 1 day to shop anyway.
Yes, and they pick the wise choice.
Because people in Sunday are trying to get rid of their stock, and you got the fire. Some booths will have fire sales to just kind of get rid of their stock before they have to pack up.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we noticed as we were stepping outside is this gigantic HyperX HyperX truck, and I was just like, yeah, it's a HyperX truck.
Yeah, it's a U-Sport truck, all right.
Yeah, and we go there, and it turns out they have set up I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set up for
about 5.
For Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And the catch is that anyone can play, but you get a ticket. You get a ticket for each time you play. Mm-hmm. Well, raffle ticket. for each time you play. And then if you happen to unlock a new character, you get an extra ticket. That was the downside, of course, is that they had Joy-Con, which is...
Oh, that's not the most
That's the roughest way
ideal.
to play it,
that's not. I did that.
No, don't recommend it.
Yeah.
No,
That's rough, but if we got nothing else, then you gotta make do.
Mm-hmm.
I have baby hands, so...
Yeah.
It's
Even
easier
though-
for you than it was for me when I had to do that.
Even though it took me a while to get used to, but...
At least let
It
us
was-
know. Like next time if you're listening to us, HyperX, give us like a button check at least.
No, but
I tend to try to button check it
Yeah.
anyway, so...
Yeah. it was not going anywhere until 4 p.m. The raffle drawing was at 4 p.m. anyway, so...
Yeah.
And after that, we just went back into the dealer's hall and start, checking out more stuff and buying. So, Bluefin, right? This is where, it threw me off a little bit, okay? So they adjusted a lot of the items,
Yeah.
on Sunday. Not on Saturday, on Sunday. Because, you know that, S.A. Sugar's Batman Ninja, right?
Yes.
That used to be $48. They scratched it out, put down 60. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and here's the thing, I encountered that as well with Captain America.
Yeah.
Because when I went to buy it, they were actually charging me $80. I'm like, no, your card clearly says $50. And it's like, but they were cool. But it's like, look, we trust you. We'll let you have it for $50. But I was just like, no, that's $50.
Yeah, so I was just thrown up. Why the hell would you adjust now?
Yeah.
That was so weird. Someday I might have to ask someone who works there later. The guy who was when I got there, right? Guy who was working there, he had no clue why it was adjusted.
Yeah, that's the thing. I realized a lot of people were running around with their heads out there, but realized they were running around like chickens without their heads.
Yeah, pretty much. So
that's why I was like, I felt kind of bad because I could have gotten that Captain America cheaper and they would have actually trusted me on that word. But you know what? I'm not. I love the company, so it's like I have to be truthful to what I have to say.
Man, hopefully they don't pull this kind of shenanigan on air.
Yeah.
These guys.
Yeah. Anyways, you got something.
It was a very last minute purchase, and that was basically the last thing I bought at Sunday. God, I can never pronounce your name, but I love the store so much. So.
The Arsenic and Cyanide, right?
Yeah, Arsenic and Cyanide. They make wonderful custom hats, and they have particular themes. So, I finally bought one of the new hats. They don't have their Etsy open, unfortunately, but they do go around certain conventions to sell their merch. So I have that particular... What did they call it? Oh.
It's basically it's O. It's an O with a W with an O, and it's supposed to be expression like.
Yeah. It looks like a cat face, basically.
It looks like a cat face being really, either being really, really. It's like someone's face being really happy, or a cat being really shocked when he's watching TV.
It's like it's like the Shaq gif doing the wiggle. Yeah, it's like that.
There you go. That's actually perfect. It's a face that Shaq makes in that gif where he's just diving.
Yeah, basically. So
that's the base. That is basically the face.
So, but basically, I bought that expression on when their new custom hats.
Yeah,
it was pretty affordable actually. I was surprised.
I don't really like those hats personally.
Yeah, it's fine.
Which one would you get at Ramsey's?
If I got one, I don't know. I think I put there
Idol.
I have.
I don't know, Master of the Universe or something like that.
That's too long.
I don't know.
He-Man, I guess.
They do commissions.
Well, I don't know. But no, it's like when I saw it, I'm like, woo, 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 woo.
I think they also have the classes from Fate available because I did see word saber in both red and in blue. I'm tempted, but I'm I have so many hats as it is, and I'm not a baseball cap person, but I did pick up Idol a couple of years ago. I forgot what con it was. Idol must get.
I know stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And things.
So, deals hall, we covered just about everything at that point.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter, at that point, it's just a matter of waiting until 2 p.m. There's a panel I want to check out because Okay.
You thought it was going to be a train wreck.
Yeah, I thought initially.
That's why I avoided it.
Yeah, this is a how to be a pro gamer panel, and I thought just a title alone, it was gonna be pretty bad. You know, I'm just
you showed me. I laughed.
yeah, right? You know, like I was like, oh my god.
I was making the comment like, yeah, Stan, you're gonna have the Quattro reaction gift. Like, I came here to laugh at you.
Initially, yeah, you know. Turns out the panel wasn't that bad. Like, it's actually kind of like sidestepped my expectation just a little bit. You know. So basically. The moderator was Brian Dawson, who has been in esports industry for 30 years. He's been to like so many different events, like Evo included. You know,
yeah.
2 people. There was only 4 panelists. 2 of them couldn't make it. You know, for various reasons. So they were left with one lady who is the Battle Royale division manager, player manager for Cloud9, and the other person is I think his name was like his call sign, I guess, like nickname was like a Keo or something like that. I can't quite remember. He's a Fortnite player. So just on that base alone, I really did not care about him. But he had some good, interesting background. He used to be a collegiate diver. Like, this is one of those guys where he used to be like a professional athlete and then just jumped into esports later on.
Yeah,
which is rare, by the way. You know, it does happen. Like, there are a few instances in even in fighting games, there are a few instances where player used to be like into professional competition.
And then like Justin Long right now, he's like even though he still does FGC things, and sometimes he'll also do like Fortnite as well.
I was thinking Danny Pham.
That too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, they were talking about how this dude got into esports, and then like they even talked about the managerial side with I think her name is Christy or something, and it eventually got to Q&A, and I asked a question about the how do they feel about the fighting game community trying to go esports, and Brian had a lot to say about that because he's been there,
Yeah.
He's been there, he knows, and a lot of what he said was pretty on point. To summarize, it's got potential. It's got a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. What's holding back from that potential is our choice of technology, i.e., console. That was a solid answer. So overall, the panel wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like I said, it actually had some solid, good information. People knew what they were talking about. I'm cool with this. I'm actually cool with this.
All right.
I hit 3 panels today. First off was the Writers' Conference, which was pretty cool. It ended up being this lecture kind of about the myths of publishing, the myths of publishers, the myths of just being a writer in general. A lot of people in there were people who were published or worked in various industries, and whether it was film and TV or I think someone there may have actually been a game writer and things like that. It was primarily done by one person. I explained to everyone, but we got to ask questions and what have you. And it was a very interesting panel, kind of discussing kind of the more of the, I guess, the meta for being a writer, to use the gaming term, rather than this is who you contact after you've written your book. Then you do this. Then it's more about the mental state. It's more about the way you approach what you do. So it's very interesting, and one of the guys at that panel actually promoted his panel, which I actually went to later on in the day. But after that, I went to a panel that had children's literature agents talking about the industry and what have you, and it was very informative. I actually ended up talking with the 2 agents afterwards about kind of what I've been working on and what I've been doing, and they gave me some really good advice and some pretty good hints for what I should end up trying to submit this year. So I'm going to be taking that advice later this year. We'll see how that turns out. And then I went to the panel that was right after the pro gaming panel. During the pro gaming panel, I was sitting outside the panel playing video games on my phone because I thought that would be a better use of my time. And when I went to that panel afterwards, it was the writer from one of the writers from the Writers' Conference made his own indie TV series. He has worked on Babylon 5, Deep Space Nine, Sliders, and a bunch of other shows I don't remember off the top of my head. I do remember those 3. And so he basically got a lot of sci-fi actors around. He has people from Farscape, from Star Trek, from Babylon 5, from what's the other series he said he got people from?
Stargate?
Yeah, I think it was Stargate. Yeah, that's probably right. Because he's like, yeah, a lot of these sci-fi actors love doing this stuff, and I have the connections, and I know, the effects work, and it's really good. The show is called Star Command, I think, or Space Command. Something like that? Space Command, I think, because Star Command is from Buzz Lightyear.
I was going to say, Jared.
So I think it's Space Command is what it's called. And the first episode is up on YouTube. It's really, really well done. It's a little slow because they're trying to establish, do some world building and kind of show you what's going on. But once stuff starts getting started, I'm like, I would like to see how this series progresses. So I was kind of surprised. The first 10, 15 minutes, I was like, all right, this is... And then it gets about the halfway mark, like, oh, things are getting interesting. And then by the end, I was like, yes, next episode now. And I talked to him afterwards. He's in talks with a couple of different streaming services to try to get this out there, but he really wanted to just make his own show. He always had to do what various networks said or follow this rule or that rule, and he wanted to do his own show, so he crowdfunded this pilot, and he was moving towards trying to get someone to pick it up. And I actually would like to see it go to series because I very much enjoyed this pilot. So it's nice kind of going around and checking out those kinds of panels, just kind of having a relaxing day that way.
I attended 2 cosplay meetups at WonderCon. I attended the 30-plus cosplayers gathering. I'm like, wait, this is a thing? It's like, it was kind of cool because you kind of got to meet cosplayers, and you kind of got to kind of share, like, yeah, like, it's kind of hard for us to, like, make new things because, yeah, adulting and stuff. And it was also cool because it's also nice to see, like, people who are, like, my parents' age or people who could be my grandparents still kind of stay strong in the hobby and also still keep that same level of craftsmanship. My buddies' cosplay parents were there. You might have seen them around the con circuit, like, as Han and Leia from the new sequel trilogy. They were rocking Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins at this.
That was them? Oh,
yeah, that was
okay.
them. I love cosplay parents because they're always so nice to talk to. They always ask me like, "How are you doing?" Like, "Oh yeah, you really are like cosplay convention mom and dad. You're like everyone's mom and dad." And I also met up with my friend Jenny, who I haven't seen in ages because we were on a Disney bounding panel together. My first WonderCon held in Anaheim, and she was dressed as Snow White. So, and then there's just other people whom I had no idea that was like. Who are like in their 30s, and I always just assume that people are younger than me. It's like, oh hey, there's more people than I think that are in my age range that are part of this. And it's just cool to see like just people who are like much older than us still just keep their craft strong. In fact, there was a Cusco cosplayer who does like a lot of con traveling, and he just went up to me and was like, hey, you travel a lot for conventions. Like, yeah, I do. Like, yeah, I remember seeing you guys all the time at Kraken Con. Like, oh, hey, you remember us. That's awesome. So, yeah, a good group of people. And if you're over the age of 30, this is a chill group to just kind of just meet up with. And Robert Torres, he was hosting this meetup. So we had a big group shoot. Then we had, okay, if you're costuming as a protagonist, come on up. If you're costuming as a villain, come on up. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also later today, Robert Torres was also hosting the Disney meetup. I was dressed as Belle in a 1940s waitress kind of outfit. Some people were also calling, oh yeah, it's Belle as if she was like a 1950s housewife. But same aesthetic is still there. It's based off of fan art I found from a Japanese website. It's like, hey, this actually looks cute. It had like all the Disney princesses in like 1940s diner waitress outfits. So I'm like, yeah, let me do Belle from this and just see where it goes. It was a huge meetup because we were on the second floor of the Anaheim Convention Center, and we were in that outside balcony with the stairs, and it was freaking hot because around 12 to 3 o'clock was like the highest points of heat during the day, and all of us just wanted to be in the shade. So after we did like the main group photo on the stairs, we just went into the shade. I felt bad for the Persona cosplayers we had to kind of kick out in that area because they were also doing a private shoot. It's like, but they were able to like find like some other place to do a photo shoot. Even when we were in the shade, the gathering kind of got a little bit chaotic in a sense where like a lot of the cosplayers, they just kind of wanted to be like further in the shade and further into the wind tunnel to just cool down. And like by the end of the photo shoot, we only had, I would say, 1/10 of the original attendees from the big group shoot. I decided to stay the whole time because, like, okay, let's do series callouts. Let's do Beauty and the Beast. Let's do mashups. There was actually a guy who's cosplaying as Prince Charming who had the glass shoe with him, and he called out all the princesses, like, yeah, can I do a video where I look like I'm trying to find Cinderella, I'm trying to, like, get the shoe on? And there was this really beautiful Aqua cosplayer who did like this interpretation of a Savannah Alexander design, and I was just kind of beckoning her, like, "Hey, Aqua, join us! Like, you help Cinderella, you help Snow White, you help Aurora, you help Stitch. Like, you should be a part of us." And she was just kind of staying to side because, you know what? If they let an Anastasia in as part of the group, like, yeah, I know, Fox merger, whatever. Like, yeah. Aqua, you're totally welcome to sit with the kids at the Disney table. We love you, Kingdom Hearts. Otherwise, it was a pretty huge gathering, a little bit chaotic because of the sun and the heat, and which really can't be helped, but I still enjoy just hanging out with all the people that I met. I made a couple new friends, including the Belle and the Beast, who were cosplaying as Jedi variations of the characters. They were the X-Wing Belle and the Beast earlier. And, like, there was a couple other Belle cosplayers who wanted selfies. I ran into my friend Cosplay Counselor, who's cosplaying as Jasmine, and it was just a lot of fun, just kind of just meeting people and seeing people again, and just seeing different people do different things from Disney. There was, like, a group who did Newsies. There were 2 Cuscos. There was a Zeus from Hercules. There was a lot of Star Butterfly cosplayers. Like, wow, like, this popularity has really picked up. And there were people who remembered me from the first time I did this meetup back a couple of years ago. I was like, yeah, you were the Princess Star Butterfly. Like, yeah, how you doing? Like, yeah, we're seniors in high school now. I'm like, whoa. Wow. And I think my favorite cosplayers from this one was the family that did the Aristocats, because they had their kids as Berlioz, Luz, and Marie. And the mom and dad were like these Victorian interpretations of Duchess and O'Malley. And there was also a lady, I forgot what her name was, who did the cat lady who owns Duchess and the kittens. At first I thought she was Lady Tremaine, but when she had the feather boa on, like, yeah, she's cat lady from Aristocats. So thank you again, Robert, for hosting this cosplay meetup for all Disney cosplayers. I'm always looking forward to the next one. He will be hosting one at San Diego Comic-Con. And, of course, the question that I always get from people at the Disney meetup, like, yeah, Eri Kagami, when are you going to do gender-bent King Arthur? When are you going to do gender-bent King Arthur? I'm like, well, let's just wait till Long Beach Comic-Con for that one. Movie time!
Well, actually, before movie time, I gotta talk about what I got. I actually brought some things. I was walking all weekend as to what I wanted to buy, and I finally bit the bullet. Now that I finally got some cash going, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna double up on. I'm gonna double down on SH figure arts. I have not bought SH figure arts since Zoo Ranger, since Tyranno Ranger and Sailor Moon came out, the first release.
That's a while.
So I had to play this. So I wanted to play catch up, and I picked the 2 perfect figures to play catch up on. I decided to get the standard black haired Goku, and I got Captain America from Infinity War. So he's gonna have like the symbol of his chest, no shield. He has what's his face's staff. I think perhaps a midnight staff when he attack Vision and Scarlet Witch in Germany. In the movie, so it's like he has a staff when he gets in, and so he has that as a weapon. And it also came with these awesome explosion effect, which is so good, and I got a good price out of it. And Goku, what I like about Goku was like, well, I've always wanted the Dragon Ball figure arts, and I like Goku. I was talking to Dad, but it's like, he's a cool dude. He may not be the smartest soul in the ship, but he's a cool dude. He's a good dude. So that's all you really need. And